In today's video, I'm going to talk about, just honestly how I'm able to afford some of these cards that I've been buying and the career that I've had in the past that has helped me do that. So let's get started. I'm 29 years old. I wouldn't say I'm young in the hobby, but I wouldn't say that I'm old in the hobby either. But let me take a step back. I didn't grow up in a rich family, not at all. I went to a public college called University of Texas at Austin, Hookham, and after that, I started a consulting job at a big firm. I wasn't getting paid like a ton, but I was also doing fine just by myself, right? Paying rent, hanging out with friends, and maybe doing a little bit of savings. But then I got really fortunate to switch my career into tech. I was still doing finance and strategy work at tech companies, so I was, not an engineer or a product manager of any sort, but I was part of tech where I could take advantage of the employee stock options and restricted stock units that they would give to employees who work in tech. So I've been in tech for over 5 years now. While it's not a long time, I've been able to invest well in the stock market and take advantage of the employee discounted programs at work, where I've seen a tremendous gain. I mean, I'm not going to tell you the numbers myself. You can see how FANG stocks have trended over the last 5 years. So I've worked at 2 of the FANG companies, and I'm very fortunate for that. And that really set a foundation of sort of this disposable income that I can have to play with and invest with without the risk of jeopardizing my rent or my family. Now, with that foundation, why I got into sports card investing / collecting. So I was always a huge basketball fan. I grew up in Texas, in Dallas, and in high school we would be up watching every single Dallas Mavs game, and our house would get so loud because we're screaming and we're cheering that the police had to come and kind of quiet us down as well. And so that's a good memory that I have. But I was always a huge basketball fan and also a soccer fan as well. Growing up, I was born in South Korea, and soccer is huge there, and my dad didn't miss a single game of his favorite team. And of course, Korea being a host country for the 2002 World Cup really exacerbated my passion for soccer and sports in general. I played tennis in school and a little bit of basketball as well, so I enjoy not only watching and following but also playing them as well. So fast forward to earlier this year in 2020, when everything was going fine, we were all doing our normal lives. But then it all really started with the death of Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant, being my favorite player, when I heard the news, I was actually in the Hobby Airport in Houston, Texas, and it just didn't feel real. You check your phone and you're like, this has to be fake news. I need proof. So we were waiting in disbelief and got on the plane to fly to San Francisco. And then when we got off the plane, it wasn't just TMT who was reporting the death of Kobe Bryant, but immediately when we landed, I got a notification from CNN, WSJ, confirming the death of Kobe Bryant, and they were still investigating who else was on the helicopter. So, that really had a huge impact in my life, I think, especially this year, where, I don't even know him, he doesn't know me, but his death really put a lot of things into perspective. I'm sure it has done with you as well, where it doesn't really matter how much money you have when your loved one is not nearby, and just that endearing feeling that you have for your loved ones it continues to grow, and you really want to cherish each day that you have with them, because it's truly a gift, and we can't take that for granted. So as I was mourning for his death, I thought about what can I do to kind of remember him and commemorate him. And one of the things that my really good friend suggested was, hey, why don't you go buy some of his sports cards as memory. And I was like, what? That's not a terrible idea. As context, one of our good friends had been engaging me into sports card for over a year at that point, telling me about all the upsides of getting into sports card and how fun it is to have your favorite player's card in hand and see the value go up as they perform well and etc. So it really married that funness of the sport that we love watching, and then also the investing. So he's been telling me about it, so I was like, what, this might be a good opportunity to get into cards and not even invest, but just have pieces of Kobe Bryant in my hands. So my first purchase was Kobe Bryant Topps 1996 rookie PSA 9 card. that's how it really all started. And obviously the market's been tremendously growing since then in the last year, and we've seen ups and downs, and that's been really fun. But as an avid investor, and I know that I have a lot to learn still, whether it's the stock market, the sports cards world, or even properties, I have a ton to learn, and I know that I'll be making a lot of mistakes along the way, but I'm very thankful to have this sort of foundation layer that supports my investing and collecting journey. And lastly, I want to mention that I do a lot of analytical videos, unlike some of the other channels that we see. It's not just purely on my opinion, but I try to look at statistical metrics or trends, or measure them against other cards and comparing side to side. And I think that is pretty unique about my channel. I hope you appreciate that, and that really drives from my background. So as I've mentioned, I went to UT Austin and I studied finance and accounting there. And then I also have a consulting background. I've done works in strategic finance, strategy and ops, and pure financial planning and analysis as well. And I'm a licensed CPA here in California. So some of these perspectives that I bring is really purely looking at it from, hey, should we be investing in this company, which is type of work that I used to do, and forecasting work, which is something that I'm very familiar with, and then also doing a cost benefit analysis. So I hope you guys enjoyed that unique flavor that I bring to this YouTube channel. So that's a little bit of who I am and why I started investing and how I'm able to afford investing and collecting some of these higher end cards. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.